everyone, my name is Katie, and if you're watching this, you probably already know that because you found my blog. For the past year, I have been on a mission from God to get out of my comfort zone each month. It is the end of September, and I'm getting around to getting out of my comfort zone this month. I really struggled when trying to figure out what to do. The things that were out of my comfort zone at the beginning of the year no longer are. So it's been a struggle to continue to be faithful to the Lord, because that's what this whole year has been about. So this month, he was like, you should post a video of just a word, like just a little message about how faithful I am and how being faithful is good. So I wrote it down. I will try not to just read it. I will reference it for my notes because I think this word will be halfway decent. So there was a point in my life where I just walked away from God. I decided that I didn't want to believe in Him anymore and that He wasn't real. He had gone the way of the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny. Just a myth that people would just talk about to make themselves feel better and hopefully make others feel better. I decided to walk away because there was a year in my life. I was in high school when just everyone died. I felt like everyone died. My dad died, my grandma died, numerous aunts and uncles and cousins died, and I was tired and I was hurt, and my life had just been shattered, and I was certain that there's no way that a God who's so loving and so kind and so great would let this happen to someone who hasn't done anything bad. Like, I was fully certain that God only did bad things to bad people, but I know that's not true anymore. I know all of that happened because it was a part of God's plan. It was a bigger plan, bigger than me or you or anyone else in my family. It sucked, and I wasn't happy, and it's not what I wanted. So I just gave up on God. But God's faithful. He never gave up on me. I wasn't even saved yet, and He was with me through it all. He just waited for me to come back to Him because He knew that eventually I would come back. I did end up coming back. It took me 7 or 8 years. I went through some painful breakups, a handful of jobs, more than a handful of moves, a college degree. My journey back to God wasn't out of a moment of desperation. It wasn't a fall on my knees, hands on my head, screaming out for God to save me. It was just like a gentle push, a gentle nudge, just a gentle walk down this road. I don't know why I came back. I don't know how I came back. I was with my then boyfriend, who's now my husband, and all of a sudden I just announced that we were going to church that Sunday. And that statement has changed my life. I'm not sure why I said it, but God just waited for me. He waited till my heart softened. He waited till the time was right. He just waited for me to heal from all the pain that I had gone through and all the hurt that I had gone through. He just waited for me to heal. I don't know why I decided that. I don't, but I'm so glad we did. We didn't know where we were gonna go, so we decided to go where my brother-in-law went, and he still goes there. He goes to Clearview Sportswear, and he's gone there for over a decade. We went for a few weeks, and then there was an opportunity for me to raise my hand to be saved, and I did. And I received the love of Jesus. I had never had that before. I remember being so scared. I don't know why I was scared, but I just had this moment of bravery, just like this small moment, and I just raised my hand. And then the feeling after that is indescribable. I don't know how to put into words just the feeling of comfort and peace and just healing. I just felt complete just in that moment. It was amazing. From that moment on, I know that I knew that I had something I had never had before. I had salvation. I had eternal life. I had Jesus. And for the first time in my life, I knew that God loved me. And I learned later that no matter what I did, no matter what I do, there's nothing that's going to stop him from loving me. I can't do anything to make God stop loving me. And I just know that throughout my whole life, God has been faithful to me. He has walked beside me in my hurt. He's kept me safe in times where I probably should have died. He just kept his hands on my shoulder and just steered me through this crowd of just people who didn't have my best interest in heart, people who told lies to me about me, who made me believe that I was worthless. He steered me through those situations and he brought me back. So throughout my whole life, God has been faithful, and he challenged me this past year to just be faithful to him. And I know the Bible is full of times where God is faithful, and he's faithful to his people, and they're not faithful to him. And my favorite example that I've been using this year is of Jonah and the whale. If you don't know the story, God told Jonah to go to Nineveh and tell the people there that because they were so immoral, he was going to bring judgment down upon them. But Jonah didn't want to go. He did everything that he could to not go. He ran from what God told him to do. And Jonah wasn't faithful to what God called him to do. And he ended up in the belly of a whale for 6 days. I'm not saying that if you're not faithful to God, you're going to end up in a literal whale. We all have our own personal whales that we will get swallowed by if we're not faithful and if we're not spending our time with Jesus and trying to get closer to Jesus. There are whales of addiction, whales of guilt, whales of shame. We all have our own whale that will swallow us whole if we don't remember a few important things that God taught us. God has never lied to us, and he will always keep his promises. Also, he has put so many amazing, talented people on this earth to help others who need help. There's no shame in asking for help if you need it. In Jesus, there is no room for shame. The closer we get to Jesus, the less room there is for a whale. I've been saying this whole year, I'd rather be faithful to God than end up in the belly of a whale. Thank you for listening to me talk. I appreciate it more than you could ever know. If you have any questions, please contact me. I'd love to talk to you. If you have any ideas of what I should do for the last 3 months of the year to get out of my comfort zone, I would love to hear your ideas because I'm getting desperate and I might have to skydive, and I don't want to skydive. Thank you for all your support you've given me so far. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you. Bye.